everyone, this is Ellie Mae with Silhouette Secrets Plus, and I wanted to share some tips for your care, maintenance, and for storage tips with the new Silhouette machines, the Cameo 5, the Curio 2, the Portrait 4, and the new tools that are available with it. Okay, so the first things let's talk about are the care for your machines. So the biggest factor that is going to play into this is in just basics alone, keeping your machine clean and free of debris. So let's start with the Cameo 5, and this will also go for the Portrait 4 as well. You want to make sure, I would highly recommend, this is the first time ever that I've actually closed my machine, and I close it after every use because we have this new power plug, and you want to keep that free and clear of any dirt and debris. If you do not and stuff gets inside of that, it could affect its future use. So you want to make sure to close your machine when it's not in use. And I would recommend this for your Cameo 5 and your Portrait 4. If you are in a workshop where you have a high level of debris or particles in the air, I would also suggest a dust cover as well for that. Typically, my machines are used so often, almost daily, that I never have put on a dust cover. However, with this machine, if I had it somewhere else that had debris or particles in the air or a lot of dust, I would definitely be keeping this covered. And I may be using my covers in the future as well. So you want to first just maintain your machines by keeping them clean. The same thing goes for the Silhouette Curio 2 as well. You want to keep everything free and clear of debris, including that power housing. Now, we're just getting started with these power tools, and I have just simply been leaving my power engraver in my Curio 2, which would protect the housing, the power portion of that plug. I don't know if that's a great thing to do all the time because your software is going to automatically recognize that tool, but it would keep it protected and keep that plug free and clear of debris. But you need to be aware that your software is going to pick up that tool detection if you are keeping a tool in that powered housing. So it's just something to be mindful of when you do that. I've been using the power engraver in the Curio 2, so it's simply just stayed in my Curio 2 during that time. The other thing to mention on these new machines, the Curio 2 comes with the electrostatic bed. You do not want to store anything on top of the Curio 2. With the Cameo 5 and Portrait 4, they have an additional accessory, which I have right here. I just received for the Cameo 5, the electrostatic bed. I'll put a link in the description below for a video on installing that. But you also want to keep anything off of the top of it. You do not want to store anything on the top of your electrostatic beds. It could affect your future use. The one thing that I would highly recommend is keeping your boxes. Hopefully you haven't already thrown those away, but keep your boxes for the electrostatic beds that you receive and also for the Curio 2 debris tray. So the Curio 2 debris tray is a separate purchase and it comes with a box. So I would highly recommend that you keep the box so you can store this. There are a couple reasons. The first reason is to keep it free and clean of debris and to protect that surface. The second reason is for your electrostatic beds especially and your Curio 2 debris tray. They need to be stored completely flat. If anything happens to them, and they should warp over time by being stored vertical, they're not going to work for you. And that is not a machine or product fault. That is in how it's stored. So I would highly recommend that you keep the box. So I have my box here. Keep the packing materials in it and place it back in the box when it's not in use, and then you can store it completely flat. Now, the next thing that I would recommend is for your electrostatic protective sheets. So with each of your electrostatic beds, whether it's the Curio 2 or your Cameo 5 and Portrait 4, you have this clear plastic sheet. It is not marked. It does not have any symbols or anything on it, but you need to store these completely flat. It is recommended to store them not on the machine, when they're not in use, but to keep them completely flat and somewhere safe. The one thing that was brought up in my Facebook group was, what if you have animals, and particularly you have a helper? If you haven't seen my photos, her name is Goldie, and she loves to chew on anything plastic and anything cardboard. So as soon as somebody mentioned that, I had that light bulb moment, and I knew I needed to protect my protective sheets. You can replace them. So here's an example. I've ordered extras. They are clear, so they've added this little layer of paper in there so you can see it in the package. This is an electrostatic protective sheet, the replacement, and you want to store not only the ones that you're using that are out of the package, but also the replacement ones in a protected space. So completely flat and protected. And I have some links. So check out the description below. I'm going to share some products that I have found and sourced locally for me. So hopefully you're going to be able to source those as well, in the US at least. In the international countries, it may be a little bit different, but this will give you an idea of what will work. So for the first one, these are 12 by 12 scrapbook containers from Michaels. And now this one just has a quick release hinge on the front. Very handy. I have a lot of these in my storage space. I store cardstock, 12 by 12 vinyl, any 12 by 12 materials. I store this as well as other stuff too. So I don't even want to count how many of these I have. So this will fit very easily in your protective case. The other option is actually called Options. So this one I sourced from Joann's, and links are in the bottom. This is Options, but it has a little bit more secure hinge on it. So you would be able to store your protective sheets in there as well. So it works for the 12 by 12. The only thing that I found with using these boxes is originally I only had one protective sheet. Let me snap that. These ones also, I ordered a pack of 3, so they come in multiple colors, which is kind of nice. I like those colors. So with this one, it is, depending on the color you purchase from Michaels, the clear ones, you can't see the clear protective sheet inside the clear box. So make sure you're marking that. You can cut some vinyl because you have some machines to do that with, and label it. Or grab your handy label maker, which is usually what I do. Or you can just simply use a Sharpie marker. But make sure you label those so you know what to do. Now, I would not recommend storing anything else really in it. I was storing my tape and such in with the protective sheets, but that also affected how flat that was. And I noticed that there was issues with that. So keep that in mind. Now, as far as tool storage, what you're going to notice, get rid of that, with your new power tools, they are bigger. They're bigger than the previous tools, such as the Auto Blade. They have a power adapter. You want to keep these safe. You don't want them knocking around anywhere and loose, because you need to protect not only the auto detection on the backside, this should not be getting scratched or your machine may not recognize it, but also that power plug. So you want to keep these clean, free of dirt and debris, and from hitting other tools or knocking around. So I have a couple options for you that I found. So the first one is a small container, so it depends on how many tools you have. I've sourced 2 different ones, so you can make your choices on which you would do in your studio or your workspace and what works for you. This one's small. It's from Michaels. Links are in the description. It's a divided case. It's by the Simply Tidy, which is Michaels brand. But you can remove the little plastic areas and customize it for the size you need. So the tool fits very nicely right inside one of those compartments. You could also use it in addition. Here's the embossing tools that I just received. You could place those as well into the location. So you can really customize this box however you choose to do so. So that's one option, and it will work until you have a collection of tools that outgrows this box. You could also place in here the washi tape or the masking tape that you receive from Silhouette. I've already gone through that. You could also customize it enough to fit the rolls of the gold and the silver foil. You want to make sure that those gold and silver foils are protected as well, and you don't want them to come in contact with other products because they will scratch and it will affect the usage of that. You need to keep it very protected. So we'll set this down and I'll bring out the next one. Don't want to forget my tools. So the next one is a little bit bigger, which is why it's back here. But this is also from Options. So I also got this at Joann's. And this one comes, it has a top that is open and you can store products in there. But it also opens up, and I've wanted one of these for years. I don't know why I didn't just buy one, but I had no real use for it. So this one now has a smaller container, which would work great for certain tools. And then it has two of your larger Options totes that would work as well. And it does come with the customizable sections in there where you could make it the size that you wanted it. But this one is a little bit bigger so it could grow with you and your tools that you are collecting. Now, the older tools like the auto blade and everything would also fit in these as well. They're smaller, so we really don't have to account for those. I'll throw up a photo here. This is the tool storage I was previously using with all of my blades and my craft blade, rotary blade. They fit really nicely in this tool holder, and I'll put a link in the description below for if you only have those tools, it would still work. But with your power adapter, you're going to need a little bit different tool storage. So we'll close this back up, and then this could sit anywhere. So those are just a couple tips. The biggest one is going to be keeping your machines clean and keeping that power adapter plug area clean as well. One other tip for keeping machines clean. With the Curio 2 especially, you need to keep the channels clean and free of debris. You do not want anything getting down in there. It could affect the way the housing moves. With your Cameo 5 and your Portrait 4, you want to keep your rollers clean. This means that you do not want it to be rolling across the adhesive of your cutting mat because those rollers can build up adhesive residue on them and it will affect your feed. Most often we see it, especially with print and cut. Keep in mind that print and cut is very, very specific, and if you had a slight feed issue on either roller because it's catching or it's not something you can see except in your cut results. If your cut is off by just a little bit, it is going to affect, it could be because your rollers are sticking on your mat, but you're not going to be able to see that until you have the finished cut. So make sure that you are taking good care and keeping your machines clean. This is 100% on the user. Protect your machines. You have invested in your machines. You have invested in yourself, and it is for your benefit to keep your machines and keep everything stored as it should be, completely flat for these electrostatic beds, and you will have the best results. I hope those tips have helped and will help you in your future success with your Silhouette machines. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications of future content. I will have more videos for you. Thanks for joining me and have a great day. So here's a closer look at the storage options that I showed in the video. And here's a top look with some of those tools in those storage areas and how you can customize. This is the one from Michael's. There are links in the description below to all of this. This is the one from Joann's with the Options totes and showing how it can go in there. You have lots of room to expand for that, and the foils work really well in the front. And then your electrostatic sheet